Love Knots with Maria Romano. Are you happy by yourself, or does having someone special in your life more delightful? Listen to Maria as she unfolds the reasons why people should love.
All right, so tonight I have an interesting conversation. I was going to share with you some of the latest trends in dating, and there's about 7 or 8 trends, but I'm just going to save that for next week. Because I started thinking, I speak to lots of men and women that are thinking about dating and finding love again. And also, people that are at a point in their life, and it's not just associated with age, but where they're at a point where I just rather be by myself. It's a lot of work. It's like breaking in brand new shoes, right? We know what it's like, right? When you break in brand new shoes. Oh, for some of us ladies, I have to tell you, I started wearing heels again because I had some events and I've been out of heels, almost a year coming up. I've been living in tennis shoes and flip-flops. How many of you have been living in tennis shoes and flip-flops, right? But tonight I want to share something with you. And the reason I want to share the story about, are you really happy being by yourself? And the reason I say that is because, as we know, life is always better with a partner, and it truly is. However, when I say with a partner, I mean with a partner that really fits you, that works for you, not being in a relationship that doesn't serve you, okay, but being in a truly good partnership that works for you and each other, where you're there to lift each other, right? You are there to maybe challenge each other. You're there to see if you have the same values and goals and things like that. And even if when you do have times in your life in a relationship where you are at odds, how you handle conflict, those are things that are important. And what happens is sometimes we are divorced, right? We go through a divorce in life, or we lose our partner, like I lost my husband several years ago, and life changes. And then you wonder, do I want to get back in the dating world? Maybe I'm just better off being by myself. Maybe I just want to spend time with my kids, my family, my friends, my grandkids, whatever it is. But I want to really have you dig deep as I ask this question. And the reason being is a couple of reasons. So this week I have a dear friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for many years, and he doesn't really have anyone that's family except for me out here. He's like a brother. And he went into the hospital. He had some challenging medical issues. And unfortunately, he's lived by himself, and he had taken a fall. And he wound up breaking his pelvic bone. Yeah, his pelvic bone. And the reason, obviously, he's had some other medical issues that led up to this. And that's because he didn't have a wife to nag him, okay? He didn't have somebody push him. And I mean this sincerely when I say that. And that's why sometimes it is good to have a partner in that respect, because they say that married people that are in, you don't have to be married, I should say people in partnerships, let me correct that, live longer. Why? Because you got a partner that nags you. So your partner that nags you really cares about you, cares about your health and your well-being. So that's the first thing. But also, my dear friend too, I realized that if something happened to him, he was by himself. And he was neglecting himself because he doesn't have love in his life. Somebody that truly loves him. Oh, he has a friend like me. I'm a friend, but truly, truly love, because when you're loved, there's a connection. And when you don't have love in your life, you die. Because love is not optional. Love is a necessity. Just like food, water, and shelter, you need love. So I'm going to share with you a quick story that I use in my talk of Loving Your Way to the Top, which is based upon business. But this is a true story about love. Dr. John Bowlby, who worked in a British orphanage after World War II, noticed that young children who lost their parents quite often would die before the age of 2. Now, these children had food, water, shelter, warmth, adult supervision. They were still dying. And they had everything they needed according to society in order to thrive. Dr. Bowlby had come up with an explanation. He believed these children were dying because of the lack of love from a parent. Their little hearts were so broken that they could no longer sustain life without a loving connection. And just like food, water, and shelter, you need love in your life. And when you have love in your life, it's very important because that keeps you going. Even if you have a pet, you know that a pet loves you and you love your pet, right? There's nothing better. Even if you don't, you live by yourself, you need to make sure you are surrounded by love because love does keep you going. And you need to have people around you that are going to be your cheerleaders and advocates for you, especially as you get to a certain age in life and you have some medical issues. So, again, what I'm talking about tonight is I know there are many of you that are thinking, oh, it's just too much work to meet somebody. I'd rather be by myself. But life is better when you have a partner. When my husband, Frank, passed away 8 years, almost 9 years ago, I'll never forget, I was in the hospital, and I'll never forget that day when I walked into the hospital room. I could remember the smell, and I could remember the sea of doctors that were around him as they were taking him off life support. And technically, he was already gone, but I was there with him, and I was a little afraid, but I was there with him in life, and it was only fair and dignified thing to do to be there with him during death. And when you think about it, he was lucky that I was there. I'm his wife, his partner, to be there with him when he was transitioning. Now, we all, don't always have that opportunity to be there with the loved one, but when you can, it's good to know that you should be there. And the reason I say this, and I'm sharing this tonight, is because so many of us figured, okay, we've lost our loved one, we're divorced, we're not going to bother having a partner because it's too much work. But life is so much better when you have somebody there with you, somebody that you can share your life with and somebody that you love and loves you. And I'm not talking about a child's love, a dog's love, a cat's love, grandchildren, your friends, having a true, meaningful relationship because we are built for that connection. And because of COVID, we have become even more socially distant or even more reclusive. And now that the vaccine is being distributed, I'm trying to get on the list for the vaccine myself. But now that it's being distributed, let's get back out there in the world. Get back out there in the dating world. Take some chances. Don't just retreat and hide into that turtle shell. Take a chance. Let yourself love. What's the worst that can happen? Maybe you go on a bad date. Maybe you fall in love and you get your heart broken. That's what life is all about, taking chances. And don't settle and come to a certain age in life and say, I'm done. I've done it all. It's like people that I meet that are retired. Well, I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit back and play golf and whatever it is. But you know what, really? There's so much life ahead of you. So much life ahead of you. And it's better. It's much better when you can bring somebody into your life. And this is exactly what I talk about, especially to people that come to a certain stage in their life. And they're not all in their 60s or 70s. Some of them are in late 40s, 50s, where they're thinking, gosh, it's too much work. Yes, it is a little work. But you know what? The rewards, the payoffs are wonderful. If you can have somebody in your life to share your life with. And yes, sometimes there are times that we go through challenges, but that's what makes those challenges a little smoother. I mean, there isn't any challenge that's great, but they make it a little smoother because you've got somebody else there that's holding you up, right? Because that's what relationships are all about. So my message tonight, my friends, is I'll bring you all those great dating tips next week, and I'll put them out and smatter them on Facebook this week. But really, it's more important that you ask yourself the question, do I want to be alone? Do I want to remain single and live out my life that way? And you need to dig deep and see if that's what you want to do. One thing I can tell you is life is definitely better with love. Have a great evening, everybody. remember to continue to stay healthy, stay safe, and spread love. Good night, everybody.